Hi, Yiten. Hope you're doing well. I'm away today, so I'm just leaving some work for you to work on. We're starting a new topic, bivariate numerical data, and we're going to just work through what this means. Bivariate, by now you should have looked at the idea of variables. Bivariate simply means two variables. And so it's really about having this independent and dependent variable. You see it presented in some way, you collect the data, you analyze it, you present it on a graph, you do some analysis, and then you say, well, are there links between this? Does one thing lead to another? Or to say, are there trends that we can see, patterns that are helpful for us to know? And what are the reasons for that? What other things have caused this, or what other things are related to that? And so that's really important when we look at data in this way, and particularly bivariate and then other types of data analysis, that there's two words which are important: correlation and causation. So correlation is simply the idea that it seems to be that one thing relates to another. So one thing relates to another. And so, classic case is to say that, okay, when lots of people smoke, there seems to be a higher rate of lung disease in those people. The next level is to say causation, is that one thing leads to or causes the other. And that's much harder to show is actually the case. Even for smoking, something we take for granted now so much that it's been proven, but for a long time people were saying, sure, there's a correlation, but there's no causation. It's not smoking causing that, there's other factors. And so the real world is very complicated, so we have to appreciate that data gives us information that we have to examine and look into carefully, but it's still quite difficult to show causation when we have a correlation. So today we're working on 5B, and so we just want to kind of go through. I'm just going to do an example. It's reading off graphs, looking at trends, answering questions. So just to work through those things to see how we go. So make sure that you have a look through. So let's just have a look at this graph. Have a look at this graph here. Short-term visitor arrivals in Australia, 2003 to 2013. All right. And so we've got the number of short-term visitor arrivals in thousands, 540,000 being the highest value, and then the year across horizontally, 2003 up to 2013. And they've just plotted the values in each year and connected them with a line graph. And so we need to just think first, okay, what are the variables? What are the independent variables? The time or the year. And depending on the year is the number of people that arrive. So the vertical axis is the number of short-term visitor arrivals. By now you probably think that time basically is usually on the horizontal axis. So if I was to ask you, okay, well, how many people arrived in 2007? All right, how many people arrived in 2007? Well, we can just look at that and look up 2007. I hope that this is familiar to most of you, but good to go across. So we just go up, meet the dot, and then we go across from there, and we say, okay, it's halfway between 460 and 480. That would tell me it's 470,000. It goes up in 5,000 increments here. So we've got, in 2007, 470,000 people visited Australia. Now, another question I might ask is, and this is not directly from the book, but some of them are, some of the others, but to say like, okay, well, when was there a significant increase? When was there a significant increase in visitors? So there's a number of places, and you could there's a big increase here, and there's a big increase here, there's another big increase here. I wonder what happened. So that's the questions you're kind of asking. Why is that happening? Was there good advertising? Was it a safe environment? Was it a good international travel environment? There's all kinds of reasons. So that's what's important to look at, what we can control, what we can't control, and how we get more tourists, let's say, to visit. That's another increase. So it's been generally increased, but we'll talk about that in a second. So we say, okay, well, let's say this one. What was the increase from 2004 to 5? Increase in visitors, 2004 to 5. Well, again, we need to get our little pen. So that's 2004. I'm just going to, it's 2005. Got to find our little amount. So that's up to 460 there. And that I think is 435. So 420, 425, 430, 435, 435. That's 460. So it's going to be 460,000, of course, but I'm just for simplification, I'm just doing the numbers, is equal to 25. So visitors increased by 25,000 from 04 to 05. All right, nice to give a clear, detailed answer at the end. Now, the global financial crisis is referred to here. For some of you, maybe for some of you don't remember it, probably don't actually. It was 2008. And so you see that reflected here. That's an interesting trend. The world financial markets kind of crashed. A lot of people lost a lot of money, houses, jobs, etc. Terrible times actually for many people, especially in certain parts of the world. So when there's a general increase, then there's this decrease. The lowering here, which is against the trend. And so that is the cause. So you could put like, well, GFC, the global financial crisis, is that a big cause? And then the bounce back meant it went back up. So it's an interesting thing to ask. But the final thing to ask is, if you look at the data, we can drill in, but we also want to take a step back and look at it as a whole. Are there any trends? Are there any overall patterns? And I would suggest to you, a very important thing to notice is to say that overall, between 2003 and 2013, the trend is that it has increased every year, basically, but over that time, there's been a massive increase. The trend line, as we might say, is upwards. So over the 10-year period, I'm going to write this down, over the 10-year period, there has been a steady increase for most years. All right, so basically that's true. I mean, you know, if you compare, there's 405,000 down here. That's 405, and up here in 2013, go across. That's 400. That's 510. So in 10 years, the annual numbers have changed by like over 100,000, which is significant growth. So that's kind of a trend to motion. So in 10 years, the annual visitor numbers have increased by 100,000, right? Which is a significant number. So that's kind of when we talk about trend. So what's it telling us? Okay, there's bad news in there, but there's also good news. So let's have a go at this. We've got a few questions. So see how you go. I mean, there's quite a lot. So let's do 1, 3, 5, 6, 8. No, let's not do that. Let's do 1, 3, 5, 6 and 8, I think is good. So exercise 5C, 5B, questions 1, 3, 5, 6 and 8. Make sure when you draw graphs that's neat. Use a ruler. Alright, use a ruler. Even scales. And then we'll talk about that. You'll be able to do that. All right, use technology to help you. E.g. Excel, and I'll show you some stuff later when I'm back. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good day.